This presentation will be on the steps of beginning an active training program. And just at the outset, I'll just let you know that all of us, as we begin and start training programs, are a bit nervous. But it's usually the anticipation rather than the training itself that's the worst part. So, if you've done this before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you plan your activities and are well organized, there's a good chance that once you get going, the butterflies will pass. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit in this session. Those nerves will go away. And start preparing well ahead of time. I think that will go a long ways in building your confidence once you get going into your teaching or training as you become more adept at doing these types of things and gain more experience. You will, of course, gain a better feel for how to do these things. But initially, if you are inexperienced, and a lot of this is new, my advice is start preparing ahead of time. And that's really good advice for all of us. So as we move forward into the training, as you begin your training program, you'll want to prepare yourself mentally. So first off, just be flexible with your lesson plans and your designs. You may want to vary your location, the environment. If you need to kind of shake it up, keep it fresh. Remember, we're talking about an active program. You may want to watch others train in your program. See how they do it. Learn from them. All these things can be very helpful for you to see what other people are doing. And if an outside person offers a similar program, attend their class. Get new ideas on how to handle the subject matter. You can observe the way they do things, how they deliver using their different techniques and styles, and that can also be helpful. Just remember that what works well for one audience may not work at all in another group in a different context. And so that's why you just want to be flexible and be able to be where you can vary your environment or your location and things of that nature, and be able to watch other folks and see how they train in different contexts as well, which can also give you some great ideas. As you think of the physical environment where you're going to actually have your training, and if it's going to be online, you know how you design your course room, your digital environment where the people are going to come and have their course or training. It's pretty much understood already. But in a physical, traditional classroom, remember this is the first impression that the participants will have. So make it your own. Arrange the classroom to meet the needs of what you're actually doing. If you're working on computers, you want to make sure that there's plenty of room for people to work on tables or desks. If it's a simulation type thing you're going to be doing, where people will be standing, make sure that there's room for participants to do that. We are going to use charts and easels, things like that, with large paper or whiteboards. Make sure that everything is arranged so that people have enough space. And also, what sort of actual physical tables and chairs are there? What the temperature of the room is? If it's cold outside, if it's warm. If it's that time of year that needs air conditioning, do you have things that are available to keep people cool or warm? Do you have all these things that you need if you're going to use projectors or computers to set up the screen and your connections and hookups, and make sure you have all those connectors and wires and things like that to do what you need. Don't be afraid to move furniture and have the students help you, or people you're training and work with you, kind of make it their own area as you build your own environment, your training physical environment, and kind of set it up for your group as a special place just for your group. I want to stress this point too, about the first 30 minutes. Any progress you might have made towards establishing rapport with your group up to this point can go to waste immediately if you're not careful during the most important time period, and we're talking about that first 30 minutes. This kind of can refer to this as like a grace period, during which hostility or antagonisms can be submerged under a veneer of politeness or watchfulness and reserve. And it's really during this time that participants decide how they perceive you, what role they expect to play during the training program, where they're sitting, what involvement they're going to have in the course, how the room is set up, and what they intend to accomplish during the course. So as a leader in this, it's your responsibility to make sure that each of these concerns is resolved positively during that first 30 minutes. And so some of the things you'll be dealing with, obviously, impatience, when are we going to be starting, how long is this going to last, competence, what am I doing here? I already know this stuff. Does this trainer really know what they're doing? I don't like the trainer. I don't like what's going on here. So you really have this issue of compatibility. And then trust. Is this person really here to help? Or are they just here, hired, and then they're going to leave? So you want to be real careful in this area. Think about impatience. Make sure you begin the class on time, and make sure you end on time. And in competence, everyone is at different levels. You're going to understand that. And so they're going to look at the course in different ways. They're going to assess it differently based on their experiences. And of course, their education coming in, the environment that they're actually coming into this with. as well as the amount of time that they've actually worked or have been able to have further training in some certain areas. So just think about these things as you go through that first 30 minutes with your training participants, and be careful not to lose them right there. That's really, really critical. And I think if you do some of the things we've talked about, I think you'll be successful. And finally, I think it's really important to invite feedback. So at the end of a session, are your expectations being met? Can we find out where they are, where your trainees participants are? Do we need to go slow or do we need to speed it up? Do we need to move on to another area that would be more beneficial? Remember that a well-planned beginning can save you hours of frustration later. And this prepares the stage for the rest of your active training program to be successful. And those who are participating with you really respect you for that and really step to the plate. They'll get much more out of it. Their attitudes will be so much better because they realize that you're in this with them and want this to be a great and exciting, successful, meaningful program for them. So planning is very, very critical.